Welcome to For the Love of Creating. My name is Lisa, and today I'm going to teach you how to paint these cardinals. For today's painting, we're using an 11 by 14 inch canvas. We're using titanium white, ivory black, raw umber, burnt umber, primary red, orange, and sap green. Now this is a little bit more detailed than some of the other tutorials I've done in the past, so you have kind of some options here. You can either free flow with what you like, or if you want to take a screenshot, get this sketched out, whatever pleases you. So let's just jump right into it. We're gonna start by blocking in our main colors and getting a really solid foundation. So we want like our underpainting to be pretty much done. And we're gonna be using smaller brushes for this painting since we're working with more details. So for like these big chunks, I'm gonna use just this flat brush and we're just gonna dive right into it. So for this, our male cardinal, we wanna use just the regular primary red. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my brush wet, and rather than getting the water off of it, I actually want it to be pretty wet so that I can have a little bit more of a thinner amount of paint for our underpainting. So you can see I'm just kind of thinning out the paint here just a little bit. Since this is just kind of our base, we're also going to be using this red for all of our little berry cherry kind of things around here, so that's going to be helpful. So we'll just start right there, and we just want to fill in our male cardinal's bright, vibrant coat. Make sure we are getting every spot of that coat filled in with red. And all of our details are going to come later, but we just want to make sure that the whole painting is covered first with this undercoat. And I really like using flat brushes when I'm doing the lines because I feel like it just gives you a really crisp edge, like almost effortlessly, so that's why I like using it. And then for our female cardinal, we actually want to do like a really light brown. So we're going to use burnt umber for our female cardinal. And you know, she does have red in her, but it's almost more of an orangey color down in her tail. And then also up here. So we don't have to do a ton of details, but it's kind of nice to kind of block in generally where some of those colors are going to be. Okay, and so for our undercoat, we want to again get that burnt umber. And we are going to thin it out with some water. We want to get some white in there. And just a pinch of orange. Get some more white. We're not too worried about colors, but we don't want it to cause a problem when we go in to add the next layers. A little bit more orange. So again, with color, you always want to start with less because you can always add more, but you can't take it away once you've added it. Although I guess you could add the opposite color. Okay, so that is not too bad. I'm thinking I still want more of an orange color though, so we're gonna go in a little heavier handed, and I'm gonna add more white also. There we go, we're getting there now. Okay. And this will be a good color to build on for all of the different colors of the female feathers. So now that that's kind of blocked in, I'm going to take the brush we were using before with the red and clean that out, and we'll use that same brush to do our female coat here. And it's gonna look very brown, but again, we're gonna build it out for sure. And I need a little bit more water just to kind of thin this out a bit. Because again, it's just our underpainting. Okay, so there is that. And then the next thing that we're gonna go in and do is add, yeah, that's pretty good. So again, we're just blocking in colors right now. So the next thing I wanna do is add in these reds here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a smaller pencil so you can clean out, a smaller brush. Smaller brush. We've already done our pencils. So clean out that brush, set it to the side. And I am going to use a filbert brush, but you could use a round brush, whatever you feel comfortable using. And again, we want to get a little bit of water on your brush because we want that red to be thin as we're painting on our little cherry berry looking things. So I've done kind of in every corner surrounding our little lovey-dovey cardinals. I just have the berries a couple closer, a couple further away, and they're really gonna pop as we build out this painting. And so the next thing, now that we have those blocked in, is we want to fill in all of the branches and all of the trees that are here, so that we can then add the snow on top and then build in the background as well. So for the trees, the color that we want to use, it's going to be like our base color, at least, is going to be like a grayish color with this raw umber, but we are also going to, so go ahead and clean out that brush real quick. We're gonna start with a gray color. So we've got our white, little bit of black, get a nice gray going. And then our main color is raw umber. So we want a good amount of our raw umber. And then this kind of tree is actually going to have just some hints of green throughout it, sort of like a mossy kind of situation going through it. So we are also going to add in just a pinch of that sap green. And I'm sure you can also see by having like these cooler trees, it's really gonna make this red pop. It's a little too much green, about that much green. And our contrast between the two is going to look super cool. That's a good kind of gray undertone. I'm going to get a little bit more of the raw umber. I really like that. That's looking good. And we're, again, just going to be building it out on everything. Okay, so with that color, we want to go back to, I'm thinking we'll use a flat brush again. We want to get some water on it. And this is going to be all over the painting for part of our underpainting. So we're just going to start with the big central pieces and kind of work out from there. So in the background, I've laid in 3 big trees where you can actually see the actual tree. And we're gonna do all the branches that we actually see going off of those trees is with this color that we've just made. Make sure your underpainting goes down on all sides of your canvas. sure that you're getting more water as we're going. Hey guys, hope you are enjoying the tutorial so far. I just wanted to go ahead and give you a little bit of a disclaimer. Usually I shoot these videos in one sitting. I'll do the whole painting at one time because I want you at home to also be able to do it in one sitting. And you can totally do that with this painting. However, I did not do it for this specific painting for a few reasons. One of them, I got started late, but the other one was it's snowing outside and I really want to go enjoy it and have some hot chocolate. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Let's get right back to the tutorial. Looks like we've got this guy coming off here. And we got this guy coming off here. And then what we're going to do here in a moment, once we have this blocked in, as we're getting closer to the front of this painting, the color is going to be more vivid. So it's the same kind of trees, but because they're closer, we're not losing as much saturation in the colors. So we're basically adding more pigment to the same kind of trees. Make sure you're taking your branches and the trunks of your trees all the way over to the edge of your paintings. And also at the top of your paintings. Okay, let's see, we've got this branch coming off here. Looks like we got another branch going this way. Let's see where we can, if there's anything else we're missing in here. I like this guy. We'll add in a little detail right there. Okay, looks looks like the rest of the stuff is coming from other trees and other branches. So I am pretty happy with that. Okay, so now using that same palette knife, you can take this color here. We want to get maybe half of it, half of whatever is left. And we want to get a big chunk of this brown of the raw umber and mix that in. And that is just going to be our closer branches. So it's in the same family because it's the same kind of tree. We just have a lot more saturation in the branches that are closer. So it'll still be cohesive. It's just going to add depth. Okay, that looks pretty good. And you can use that same brush. And even if there's a little bit of paint still on your brush, you can get off as much as you need to, but you can really use that same brush without cleaning it since we're in the same family. And we're just going to do all of the branches that are closer and then kind of see where we are. So this does need a little bit more water. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water to thin this out. Okay. And then we're going to come in and do all of our bigger branches that are close up. So these branches are different than the ones we were doing before because they're not really connected to any trees. Like, we're not seeing a whole lot of what's going on, but they are definitely important. Some of these shapes might not make sense right now either, but they will when we start adding in the snow and some of the other pieces to our puzzle. And again, this is just our underpainting, so don't stress out if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it wrong and it doesn't look good and all of those things, because it'll all get cleaned up and look really awesome, I'm sure, by the time we're done. So we're also going to add more details later, like more branches coming off of things and stuff like that, but just getting a general gist of the layout of the painting and where everything is going to be is really helpful for you then to start going in and getting creative with where everything else is going to go. Got a big branch down here too. And feel free to put branches wherever you want. This is just kind of what I saw and what I was feeling when I was sketching it out. Branches are kind of fun to play with once you get the general idea, and there is kind of like a basic structure because they just, oh gosh, they branch off. But they do. It's, you know, you just start with the main branch and then it branches off into smaller branches. And you just kind of follow that pattern, and then it gets a little bit smaller and a little bit thinner. That's the gist of it. So let's see. Like this guy actually comes all the way down here. But I have this branch coming off, and then we've got another one right here. Just gonna bring that this way. And you can see I kind of started blocking in the snow on top of them as well. Just for like a seamless transition. It also helps me to see the painting a little bit more easily, so that's part of why I do that. For me, painting, I like having kind of a rough draft before I go in and do like a ton more detail. So like over here, it looks like this branch I have going, like continuing a bit. So I'm just gonna do that. And it kind of just falls off. And then we've got these guys over here. So this actually looks like it goes to this tree, which I missed, so I'll have to go back in with the other gray color. But this right here we can use. rest of this, and I am just at the end of this color, so that is right on time. Get a little bit of water to move the paint around a little bit more. Fill some of these guys in over here. I'm gonna come back in with this other color. Oh, and then I also have this one right here. So I'm just gonna make this paint stretch a little bit for me here. So this guy looks like it's not connected to that one, although it looks like it is, kind of. Okay. And got a couple branches coming off in funny places. And we'll just take that a little further. That looks good to me. This guy kind of cleaned up a little bit too. Got some things going on over here. That looks like snow. Looks like maybe another branch just kind of coming down over here. We'll do that. That feels good. Nice. All right. And come back in with this color just to get this guy locked in properly. Nice. Let's get the excess paint off my brush. All right, great. Okay, so now that we have all of where the bark is blocked in, we're gonna do our background color, and I'm thinking we're gonna need to start with gray. But before we do that, make sure, just take a moment, make sure that all of your edges are getting finished and you're leaving nothing to anything. Okay, so I decided that I wanted to add a little bit of blue to the background. I've been doing so many paintings with blue, I thought I would take a break, but it's just, I can't help it. Blue is so pretty. So I got Cerulean Blue, and we are gonna use that as our background color, just a super light white with just a little bit of Cerulean Blue, just so we have like a nice, cold, cool background. And we're also gonna use this for the base of our snow as well. But what we are going to do is add a little bit of black to make it a little bit more gray for the background, and then it's going to be just this straight up blue white for our snow for our base. Okay, but first let's go ahead and do our snow first, and then we'll do the background. So our snow is just this super light. And I'm actually just gonna use the rest of this white because we want it super light blue. Super, super light. That's what I'm talking about. All right, that looks great for the base of our snow. Okie dokie. So we are gonna use that same flat brush we've been using just to get our snow down. Okay. Same flat brush, make sure it's clean. We don't want to be mixing our browns and blues. And then this might be a good time to get some clean water. So go ahead and clean out your water. And you want to make sure that that is watered down just a little bit. And we're just going to fill in where all of the snow is going to be. And it might look a little crazy to start with, but remember, we're going to be layering it and putting a lot more detail and really bringing it to life that way. So we're going to start up here at the top and just kind of fill it in. This is our base under painting. I love snow. I'm really trying to take advantage of the fact that it's winter and just doing a lot of wintry paintings. I'm sure if you've been following what I've been working on, it's like mostly just animals in the snow. That's like the main thing. What can I say? I'm trying to enjoy winter and I love summer. I'm such a beach girl, but you know, I can definitely enjoy this season as well. So let me see, we've got this is snow here, just kind of layered on top. And your snow is just kind of like where it would organically fall on your branches. Again, we want to make sure that it's thinned out a bit. And then we're taking it all the way to the sides. Forget about our trees in the background either. They've got snow on their branches too. Snow is on all of the branches. It's kind of awesome. Where I live, we don't get snow, but we finally got snow. And if you've been watching my other paintings, you know I've been very much waiting in anticipation for the snow to come. Yes, it's these crazy storms that are coming through. But here it's just kind of, you know, the kids are going to be out of school for like a week. If I was teaching still, I would be very happy. As I'm sure all of the kids are. All of my former students are probably thrilled, which makes me pretty happy. So I'm sure you guys can see this is starting to give it a lot more dimension. And we really want to make sure that we're getting paint on all parts of the canvas. Since this is our underpainting. So I have mentioned before, I have not been formally trained in painting. And I always do this. I always kind of block in where I'm going to paint stuff because it kind of makes sense, right? Like you want to know where everything is going to be and blah, blah, blah. Well, I just heard somebody yesterday who was like a legit painter. Not that I'm not a legit painter, but you know, went to school for it, talking about underpaintings, and I'm just thrilled. So that's why I've mentioned it like 5 times. So I'm like, oh yeah, let's go. I'm loving the way this blue is looking. It's got something to it that just feels really good. Yep. Cozy little cardinals being all happy up in their tree. Branch, just make sure that you can see that white blue snow on top. And even some places as I'm going along, I'm noticing I didn't draw the snow on top of it, and I'm just adding it wherever it makes sense. Or, you know, some places I like extended the branches a bit, and I'm just making sure that the snow makes sense where it's placed. It's kind of like an edit. So I was saying before, like I like to draw the painting out first because I can see where everything is going to be. And this is just where I am on my journey as a painter. I'm sure there are painters who don't need to do that, but I do. Unless I'm doing like more of a free form painting, but especially for this, I like having a plan. It's just how I function. And no shade to people who are more free flowing. That's dope. That's sick. I like plans. So, where was I going with that? The world's never gonna know. I don't know. Okay. So this over here. After we get this part blocked in, we're gonna block in our background, and so we're gonna add some blue to our white mix that we got going on. And we're just gonna pretty much block in the whole background. This contrast is really nice right now with the white, but we're gonna flip it. So it's gonna be dark behind, which is gonna make this pop. All right, and again, just make sure you're bringing all of your color all the way to the edge so that you have a nice finished edge as well. Okay, that's feeling pretty good. So now we're gonna come in and we're gonna add more blue to this. A lot more blue. Get that really saturated in color. Nice icy blue. And then we want that to be darker, and we're going to add a little bit of black to it. So we're getting like a gray blue. This is gonna go behind it. Very pretty color. I'm really tempted to make it like a teal. Should we do it? I kind of like that color. I think maybe a little more blue. Not that much, like that much. I just love what black does. Like a little bit of black goes such a long way. It adds so much character. I don't know what other painters do. I think it looks cool. I like it. I'm just gonna keep doing what I like. And if you like it, that's cool too, because you can keep painting with me. Oh, I love it. Okay, this looks really nice. I really, really, really like this color. Yeah, that's really nice. It's gonna make this white look super cool. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit more water to it also as I'm going along. So let's just go ahead and see how this is playing. We'll just start down here just to kind of see how that contrast is gonna look. And again, underpainting, so if it's terrible, we can always go over it with something else. That's one of the nice things about acrylics. I like that. It's gonna add a lot of color. The combination of the blue with the red is also, I think, gonna look awesome. So let's just start up here and kind of just go from there. So I'm using this, I think I'm gonna do all the big sections, but it's a little too big for some of these smaller details to get the background. So I'm gonna do kind of like a combination of both, but I'm just gonna block in some of our big sections first. So I've been upping my game with like higher quality paints, and I can tell the difference for sure. This, because my white is a higher quality paint, and it just, the way it goes on is so nice, especially when I mix it with other paints. Okay, and when you got like most of the bigger sections done, you can, if you want to put that paintbrush away, you can wash it and set it to the side. I'm gonna come back in with this filbert brush again. So this smaller filbert brush. Get some water in it first. And I'm gonna start up here. Just fill it in. So at this point, it's really about just making sure that there's paint on all parts of the canvas. The only things that aren't gonna have paint are their little faces. So we just wanna fill everything in. That's pretty much the goal here. Just take your time here. Remember, we're coming back in with all of the colors on all of the spots, so it's okay if you go over things. Finding you missed some spot with our snow as well. We can always go back in and get some more snow if you need it. you can see, it's really got a lot of nice contrast now. I really like how the reds complement the blue also. And with the little berry guys, I'm not worried about going over the stems that are coming off because I'm just going to plug those in later. Even the shape of them, I'm more concerned with making sure that there is paint on all of the canvas. Okay, so the last thing we're gonna do for our underpainting is fill in the beaks and the eyes here. So what I'm gonna do is get a small round brush and we're just gonna do the beaks first. And I'm gonna get some water on my brush and we're just gonna go in with like orange. Just plain old orange, just to fill them in. So here is our lady's beak and a man's beak. our two cardinal blues up in the tree. And that's it. And then go ahead and rinse off your brush. I want you to get that color of the bark and black and mix that together. We're going to use that for our eye color for now, just to have it blocked in. And then go ahead and rinse off your brush and get off most of the water, but not all of it. And we're gonna go in with just straight black. So you want a little watered down, but just regular black. And you're gonna fill in the rest of kind of around their face. So for female cardinals, it kind of comes up over the nose here. And it's around the eye. And then you just want to go right around the beak also. But not too thick, just like a little kind of poof, 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 poof. A little bit more on the side here. This is kind of like a line coming down. And it, yep, goes around just a little bit. And then for our male, he's got a whole front chest black hair, black feathers. Our handsome cardinal guy. And then this kind of goes, if we're looking at the top, right over the beak. And then around the eye, we've got a good amount compared to our female cardinal. And then just fill the rest of that in. And that is pretty. Good. We lost some of our definition there, but that's okay. We will get it when we get to the other parts of the painting. All right, we got our two cool birdies up in the tree. Make sure that that goes all the way down. All right, now let your underpainting completely dry, and then we will come back in and do the second and third layers. All right, now that everything is dried, the next thing that we want to do is go in and we're going to start working on all of the trees and the branches and giving them some shape and length and texture. So the first thing we're going to do is grab a filbert brush and get a little bit of water on it. And then we want to take this to do all of our background stuff first. So if you remember, that is the color that we were working with before. It's the white, black, and the umber, the raw umber together. And I want to make that color again. So as we were coming forward, we had more color in it. So we're going to come back to that color. So we're just going to take some black. We're going to take some white, and we're going to take a good amount of the raw umber, maybe even the rest of it. and we're gonna mix that together. And this is going to be kind of part of our backdrop. And we're gonna take half of that and we're gonna add more raw umber. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some more on my palette because I'm out. And we want that on with this guy over here. Okay, so we have white, black, and raw umber, white, black, and a more raw umber. We're gonna use these two to get some shading done. And I'm gonna take some more of that. And we're gonna go one shade even more with more raw umber. So now we have a few things to work with. Okay, so with these, as much of that off as I can. All right, so we want to start with our darker shade, or our middle shade, excuse me, and what we're working on is our background 3 trees. So we'll start with this one over here. And we just want to give it some definition behind all of these other branches. And here's an opportunity to kind of get your lines much cleaner. And so that's really it from that little spot there. And then we'll just fill in the whole thing with that middle color all the way down. And then we'll come down here, again that mid color. All the way down. And then this color is also going to be on all of our branches, but I want to show you what to do with the main body of the tree first. So the next thing that you do is you want to take the lighter of these colors and you're going to highlight the right side of the tree with that lighter color. About the size of that filbert brush, and don't blend it or anything, you just want that nice crisp line. Let it come about a third into that, and then the last thing you want to do, so clean off your brush, you're going to go in with the dark part, and you're going to do the same thing just on that edge on the left, and then go ahead and blend anything out that is stark. And we have the base of our tree. Now the next thing we're going to do is come in with that light color again, and you're going to be making motions just like this. And then you'll come in with just some plain raw umber and do the same thing. And this is going to give us the texture of our bark. Don't overthink it, just kind of tuck it in different directions, just coming straight down like that in different spots. Make sure you get the whole tree, so come up here, get the rest of the bark. And then we're gonna go in and we're gonna do our branches, and then we're gonna be doing it to the other two trees. So you're gonna go in with that middle color again and follow those branches out. So for this, that nice middle color. Okay, I don't see any more prominent branches coming off of this tree, so we'll leave that guy alone. And then with that tree, you're gonna go in with the darker shade, and we're just bringing in like just a little bit of detail here. Go in just with that regular umber, and you just wanna draw thin lines going across it, just to give it a little bit more implied texture. And this is in our background, so we're not too worried about it. And then we're gonna do the same thing to the other two trees. So starting with that middle color, and we're just gonna fill them all in. Here's that middle. Because this tree is a little bigger, I'm actually not even going to fill it in those spots all the way down. And we'll just go in with the other colors and blend it out that way. So you can go right in with that lighter color. Again, on the right. And blend that out as you're going. And then same thing down here. And then on the left, you're taking the darker of those colors. Make sure you get that nice clean line. And blend it out. And we'll do the same thing to the top of the trunk up here. And then the lighter on the left. And then taking that middle color again to get all of our branches coming off of these trees. And then we're gonna go in with just the plain raw umber. Do all of our little spots, giving it some bark. And then we're just gonna hit this tree over here. And you can see this time I actually started with the darkest color first, and then I'm just building from left to right to give you guys some options on how you want to play this. And then we're just going in with that lighter color just to round out the side. just blend it. Right, so here is our third tree in the background. And now we're just gonna go in and build out the bark situation with that raw umber again. Just tiny little hands are getting too close to the paint again. This is how I get paint on myself every time I paint. Okay, so there's some texture for our wood. Okay, then we just want to go in and fill in our branches coming off of this guy, which I think is just this one. I could be wrong though. It's the only one I see, at least. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is work on the branches that are closer to us. And so we're gonna take these, we're gonna leave these colors for now, but we want the trees that are closer to us to have more saturation. So we're actually gonna work with the burnt umber for this part. So we wanna take this burnt umber, and I'm just gonna take the whole thing and move it over here so we have more room to play with. That needs some water. So we're gonna add some water to it just to thin it out just a little. And then we wanna add a little bit of white. All right. Let's see what that gets us. That color is looking pretty good. And this will be our core color. And then we're gonna build it up and down either direction. So that's our main one. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get just a little bit more burnt umber to play with. A little bit more in there to start. I'm gonna take some of that, put it over here, and then we're gonna add some more white to it, to this chunk. And then we're actually going to use just straight umber with just a very, very little bit of black. For our dark and shadow base. All right, so we have those. I'm gonna get some more white for this one over here so we have higher contrast between the three colors. Or three shades, excuse me. Alrighty. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a different brush. We're gonna be using a round brush, and I'm gonna clean off this filbert over here. Okay, I'm gonna get some water on that paintbrush. And we're gonna be using similar principles, but we're gonna start with this middle one again. And we're gonna start with this big branch here. And we're just gonna paint the whole thing with this middle color to get started. Okay, then we're gonna go in with our darker color, and we're gonna put this right underneath where our snow is. So that's like right along that line. We just wanna go right in there. Anywhere there might be any shadow, really. And then we also want to take that darker color and we want a really thin line at the bottom of the branch, because it's also shadowed down there. And then we're gonna take our highlight color and it's gonna go right in the middle of our tree branch. And once you have all of those colors blocked in, they should still be wet. All you're gonna do is blend it out. That's it, people, blend it out. And at this stage, it's okay if it's kind of streaky, because that actually is going to start giving dimension to our branch. So we've got the shadow right underneath the snow, and we have the shadow of the bottom of the branch. And it should give it a lot more depth and texture. And then when we get over to the branches coming off of the main branch, you're gonna use that main color we had before. that middle color. And you're going to do the whole thing in that color just to start with. Remember, we're going to come back in with a smaller brush to do the details here in a moment, but that is the general gist of what we're working with. So we're going to follow those same patterns for all of these small branches. So the first thing that we want to do is with that middle color, you want to paint all of the branches with that. Now this one is big enough that we might be able to start working in these guys down here maybe. We can do the shaping, but we'll have to go back in with a smaller detail brush to do the details here in just a bit. Okay, just making sure we're still recording. Then once you have that middle color down, same thing, you're gonna go in with the dark color right where the snow and the branch meet, making that shadow right underneath the big pile of snow. And then also on the bottom of the branch. So under the snow, under the branch. Under the snow, under the branch. And then you're gonna go in with your highlight for the middle, just right down the middle. We've got our highlight. And then you blend it out, and that's kind of it. So that was not too bad for the size of this. We'll do this one in here also. So again, step one, you go in with that main color. All the way across. Because these are smaller, I'm just hitting the branches as I'm going also. I guess the other branches as I'm going. I'm actually gonna make that one a little bigger. And one more time, I take the dark and we do the shadow under the snow. Right under the snow. Again under the snow. Do the shadow on the lower side of the branch. And then we're gonna put our highlight right down the middle. And make sure we get highlight on all the spots. And then we just wanna blend all of that out. Very nice. We'll get this guy over here too. So we'll start again with that middle color. And we'll get our dark. Or under the snow highlight. And then to round out these edges. And then we'll put our highlight in the middle again and blend it out. And all of our bigger and closer branches are done. we just have some of these small guys in the background. I think I'm gonna do this one we're also gonna use with the same color pattern. And then for the other small ones, we're gonna do something a little bit different. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that middle color one more time. We're doing this branch up here. And this branch comes down this way. To give a different branch going the other way. So that branch there. And that right there. And then we'll follow the same patterns we've been following. So getting our dark for our highlight or our shadows. And then because this is smaller, I'm just kind of blending it as I'm going. So I'm taking that dark, I'm getting the edge of the branch and just blending it into what we already have. So our outsides have that darker, and then the highlight hits the middle. So I'm gonna do the same thing down here. Just getting the edge of it, blending it out a little bit better. We wanna get that shadow right there. And then we want to take our highlight right down the middle and blend that out as well. Okay, awesome. So the next step that we have here, we actually have to finish this branch right here, which is connected to this one. So we've got one more I forgot about. We want to come in because it's kind of like this branch goes off like this. So we want to get this guy with that main color, that middle color, one more time. And that is coming up here. And this one, we're not worried too much about our shadows and our highlights yet, because we're gonna get that with our detail brush in a minute. This is looking very nice though. Very happy with that. We gotta get this offshoot as well. So we'll go ahead and grab this guy. Okay. All right, we'll get this one up here. Okay, and so then for these few that we have remaining, there's just a few of them like this one, we've got one up here. We are gonna go in, instead of with the middle color, we're gonna go in with the light color instead. So we're in the same family of colors, but it's just gonna give us a little bit of a difference between our different branches, which just gives it more interest. I really like this highlight color. I think it's really pretty also, so it's nice to kind of give it a little bit more room to shine. And you know, I'm actually gonna make that one over here, we're gonna separate it and make this a different branch. Maybe it'll come down in front of it. Yeah, that's better. And then we'll give it a little offshoot here. Yeah, okay. And then we definitely need to add snow to those guys. Got some paint on myself, surprise, surprise. Okay, and then we still need to hit these ones over here. So we'll come back to our lighter color, and we want this branch right there. And then this right here, if I remember correctly, was an offshoot of this guy, but I wanted to contrast this a little bit, so I think we will go in with our lighter color here again. So that was kind of like that. And we got a little branchy branch there as well. I have no idea where he came from, but he's there. Cool, cool. Oh my goodness, I love it so far. Okay, so take a moment, and we do need to let this dry before we get on to the next step. But go ahead and just take some time to like fill in any place where you need to add some trees, or if you weren't filling in the edges, go ahead and just go back in and do that. The next step for us is we are going to do some details, but then we're going to work on our snow. And so I think we're going to do the snow first and then come back to the details and the branches. So let it dry and then we'll come back. Okay, now we're gonna start one of my favorite parts, which is the snow. All right, so we are going to first put in the shadow snow, and then we're gonna do the top part of the snow. Now I have a flat brush, there's a shader brush, but it has seen better days, so we're gonna use it to get like some crazy snow patterns. So you want to start with a little bit of white, we want to get a little bit of blue, and that looks pretty good to me. We want a pretty, just white and blue for this one. we want it to be pretty dark, but only compared to white. So we need like a blue, but we don't want just straight up blue. It needs to be mostly white because it's our shadow. And our shadow is pretty much gonna go, it's like where the least amount of light is getting through the snow. That's kind of a good way to look at it. So you wanna take this, and this is dry right now, and so it's giving me all those cool patterns. We're just gonna take this and we're just gonna dab it right where the branch and the snow meet. Just like so. And you're gonna do that all the way up, and you're gonna do it to all of the branches. Easy enough so far, right? Okay, so the next step, you wanna take that blue, and you're gonna want just a little bit lighter than what you have, so add some more white. And this is almost like your transition color between the complete shadow. So now you take that color and you dab that right on top of the color you just did, but like right above it. Like you don't want to be right on top of it, you want to go right above that spot, right above it. And then get off any excess paint, and you're gonna go in with just straight white now, overlapping the one you just did. And this is kind of what makes our snow like kind of sparkle a little bit, because you can see kind of what's going on. So it's doing a few things. It's giving us texture, but it's also blending out. So you're just kind of running back and forth here. And that is how we're gonna do all of the shadows on all of the snow. Pretty straightforward. So again, make sure you're not running out of your white. And it's both blending and creating texture. Kind of finding that nice middle ground. So it's kind of like you're bringing it down. And then you just keep going until you're really, really happy with how it looks, right? I love that. I think there's a lot of dimension there. I could play with the snow forever, just like when I was a kid. And so the goal is to get it to look something like that. You know, you can go back in with more snow. If you go too heavy-handed with the white, you can always go back in with more blue. So you just kind of keep playing with it until you like how it looks. And then the next thing you want to do when there's no blue on your brush, the last part of the snow for each of our branches is you come in with just white and you hit the top part of our snow. Same way, right? And you can even like create new patterns and things. Make it not just like a straight line. And this is our highlighted snow at the top, where it's getting hit the most with the most light. And because our white dries kind of a little transparent, this is also definitely a layering situation. So you go in, you get your first layer down. Oh, look at that soft, delicious snow. And that's it. So you're just gonna follow that same pattern on all of your pieces, okay? All right, so let's just start at the top and go down from there. So grabbing that dark one again, we're gonna start up here, and we're just gonna hit all of these branches we got going on here. You can pick, you get like, when you get into the smaller branches, a little bit of paint goes a very long way. So I'm just gonna hit all of these branches until I run out of this color. Really probably be able to hit a lot of these. Okay, it looks like we're getting a little low. Let me come down here if there's any more. Nope, there's a ton. There's so much paint that can get on these brushes. Let's go. Okay. Alright, so now we're gonna go in with getting extras off. We're gonna go in with that middle color, and you're gonna go on top of it, but you're also going to go just a little above it because we're blending and creating texture all at the same time. And if you're gonna do a lot, like I'm showing you here, you gotta move fast because your paint is gonna dry and you wanna be able to blend it out. So let's go ahead and grab our white. And right now we're just doing the blending. We're not gonna do the top part quite yet. And some of these you might need to build up the snow because it might have lost some of its depth. So you can go ahead and do that. Like this branch is a lot bigger, so I'm like adding in the snow as I'm going. That would be there organically, you know? Like this branch, we lost a little bit of our snow. And you know what? Looking at this a little bit more, I think I'm gonna make it snow in the painting. I wasn't going to, but I just love that idea, so maybe I will. Okay, and then we also need to get, because we added these branches here, we need to get some snow here. This guy also had some snow. Just fill that in. It's a little too transparent. And this branch needs a little bit. There you go, buddy. And then we just want to go in and do our top kind of shaping anywhere that still kind of needs it. Man, it snowed a lot there, didn't it? I like it. I love the snow. Pretty good. So then we just keep repeating the same patterns, that's all. So this branch is a little different. Because it has like different angles than some of the other things. So like there's kind of some shadow right here, kind of. So I want to make sure that I highlight that in this also, and I don't just totally neglect it, you know? Okay, we gotta... Especially since this is the branch that they're sitting on, we want to make sure that we're paying attention to the details here a lot. Okay, so then let's go in with our white. And because we haven't actually done anything to the birds yet, we'll probably come back in with white here anyway, but it'll be good to have kind of a general shape laid out before we get there. second blue. And then we're just coming in with the white on top. And just about out of white again. Funny, I thought this was almost over and I forgot those down there. I just am having so much fun. Okay. Okay. Just going with that white. White again. And then once you get to the end of that first coat, just go ahead and start back from where you, at the very beginning. This should be like pretty dry, and you just want to go in and add some more highlights with your white. So you're just going in with straight white. Do your best not to touch your painting and get your hands dirty. And you just want to hit the tops of the branches, or I'm sorry, the tops of the snow. And you don't even have to hit all of the spots, but you want it to make sure it's pops, right? Because that's what's going to give it a lot of dimension, is having like a very evidently like bright white section. And we'll probably come back through again another time just to really make it stand out, because it makes such a big difference and it looks so good when you do it that way. And as it dries, you can start to see it a little bit better too, so that also kind of helps with knowing where to place it. Yeah, we want all of the tops of our snow just to be like bright white. And then even some of these sections where we added the snow after, you might need to go back in with a little bit more blue. About there with our snow. Okay. Awesome, 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 awesome. Okay, so now that our snow is pretty done, we will come in and do probably a little bit more highlighty stuff, but we need to add in just a little bit more detail to our branches, finish off the highlights, and then we're gonna do our birds. Okay, so what we need to do is let that dry, and then we're gonna get out our detail brush. Okay, so we are going to get our liner brush out. And we're just gonna add some lines to all of our branches to give it a little bit more depth. So just as a reminder, we have our warm branches, our everything that's closer. These colors are for the back background ones, but we are really not too worried about those because we've already done a lot of texturing to those, so we don't need to touch them. But we do want to add some texture to all of our other branches. So starting up in the corner, we'll start with our small guys first. We used this light color. We're going to go in with our middle color. And if you don't remember what that was, this is just our burnt umber with just a little bit of white, that's it. And then this is a lot of white, and then this is just mostly burnt umber with a little bit of black. And so we're literally just gonna be adding in lines, literal lines, okay? And you can use all 3 colors depending on the branch. And that's really it. And we're just kind of like adding in, and it creates a lot of depth and texture without too much effort. That's kind of it. That's all we want to do. On our middle color branches, we want all of the shades, all of the colors. And we're just kind of filling in some space to give it some texture. We don't need a ton of lines, just enough to kind of imply that there's stuff going on there. So if we come up here, you just want to follow the line of the actual branch. That's kind of it. You can add a little bit of water, and also it might be a good time to get some new water if you are running mucky. I just got new water, I forgot to mention that. So go ahead and you can get new water if you need it. And we're just adding a bunch of thin detail lines to our branches. And you don't need a whole lot, you really don't. You just want a few, just to give it some texture, that's all. Our brains really put in a lot of detail with paintings. And you know, some people are like really into hyperrealism, which is so cool. I love looking at people's art like that. But I just am not that person exactly. I like that our brains are capable of like getting to the point, sort of. And so a lot of a person's style depends on like how much detail they actually like to put in. And you know, being intentional with like how much do I want to put in, how much am I making the audience work, and what do people see, right? Like super abstract stuff. Maybe they know exactly what they're painting. And so you can already tell, I mean, there's a lot more, there's a feel to it that's just a little bit different with just a little bit of these lines. And my paint is a little dried out, so I might go ahead and remix it, or even just add in a little bit more water here. It is cold in my studio, so I usually have a fan or a space heater, and it'll dry out my paint sometimes before I want it to be dry. But that's okay. That looks like it helped a little bit. I'll get a little bit more. Versus when it's still like silky smooth, you know? All right. So this video is coming out on February 13th. So I hope if you're looking for something fun to do with your person, that this is something you could do. Or if you don't have a person like that, or your person's your best bud, or your sibling or whatever, and you guys decide to do this, I think that is sick and awesome. I think it would be a really fun thing to do with your person. So you can see how it like really gives a lot more depth and texture to your trees, right? It's like, oh, I can see the shape a little bit better. Okay, and then when you're happy with all of your lines, then we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next thing. I have just a few more little branchy branches to get cleaned up. All right, awesome. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do, go ahead and clean off your liner brush and set that to the side. We will be using it again, but not in this moment. Next, we are going to be taking we need to plug back in our berries that we lost. Okay, just getting another palette knife. So we need to create some really pretty berries. So I want to get this red, and this looks pretty dry over here. And this is way too bright of red for our base. So we need to come in with some black and dull that down. That is way more like it. So we want to use this color, our primary red color, and then we also want to have a third color like we usually do to get our shadows and our highlights. I'm really liking this color though. That's super pretty. So we're just going to start there to block in our actual berries. All right, I'm going to use number 2 round pencil. Why do I keep calling them pencils? Number, because it's a number 2, that's why. Okay. Mystery solved. Number 2, round brush. That's funny. Okay. Can you tell I was a teacher for a little bit? Okay, and I'm just gonna fill these in. And again, all that was is the primary red and black. That's it. We might have lost a couple berries in this process, but that is okay. And before adding too much depth to these berries, because we are going to come back to them, I'm going to make sure that that layer is thin enough. Okay. And then we come in with just the straight bright red and kind of start in the middle, and you push out and blend it out as you're going, and it's going to give it a nice, really pretty shape. So you can start in different spots on it, just kind of push it out. It's naturally going to give it some texture and depth. And you don't have to overthink it, you know? You're getting texture, depth, shadows, highlights, everything. Okay, so let's go back to our dark cherry color and cherry berry. 1, 2. This one's got a bunch up here. 3. And then the other thing that all of these berries have are stems and snow piled on top of them. But we're just going to start there. And then we want to go in again with our bright red and start in the middle, push it out. Start in the middle, push it out. Start in the middle, push it out. Berries on this side. Back in with our bright red color. Okay, now we're gonna come down here and do these last few down here. We're gonna come in with our bright red. Alrighty. And now before we do the stems, we're actually gonna put the snow on top of them first. So we'll let those dry just a little bit. And then we're gonna work on piling a little bit of snow on them. For the snow that's gonna be on top of these, I'm gonna use the round brush again because I just like how that's been moving. So I'm gonna grab some white and I'm literally just gonna pile it right on top. And kind of let it sit just like so. Kind of let it fall on either side of it. And then we're going to take just a little bit of that blue. And my paint's getting very dry, but we're going to take a little bit of the blue, just straight out from it, and put it right at the bottom, and blend it up. So just like what we were doing before, we're just kind of skipping some steps with mixing the paint on the canvas. And then I'm just rinsing off my brush really quick to come back in with just the pure white again, to put the pure white at the top once more, because my red was not completely dry. And you know what, I'm gonna have to wait for this to dry. I'm just getting red everywhere. Okay, but that's the general idea. And then what you're gonna do after that step is you are going to take that liner again, and we're gonna take that pretty red that we made with the black. Oh, it's so pretty. And we're just gonna draw lines going up to the branch. And that's it. And you're gonna want them to go in different directions. can be popping through the snow. Others can be on the other side of it, and that's kind of the whole thing. That's all you need to do. And then we're going to do that with all 4 of our clumps. And there you have it. All we have left to do is the birds. But I am going to go ahead and wait to finish them until tomorrow because it's snowing and I really want to just enjoy it and have some hot chocolate. So I want to give you the best possible content, and that includes me being rested enough to walk you through it. So let's kick it to tomorrow. Here we are with our birdies, our little birdies. So we're gonna do a couple of layers on these guys and just kind of build them up and out, but we're gonna start with our female bird and kind of block in the direction of her feathers and how we want them to lay on her. So we kind of have this like C shape coming around the front of her body, and then we've got in the background we have like the actual feathers that we see going down this way. So we want to hit those first and then kind of build in the dimension and texture here. So we're coming back over to our parchment, and there's just like this so looking at this, it's a little too bright. So we want to bring down the color a little bit. So we're going to take some of that parchment. Then we want to add in, this is burnt umber, so just a little bit of that burnt umber. And I'm going to add a little bit of water to this also, just to get it a little thinner. And female cardinals have like orange, kind of warmer colors kind of going through their feathers. So we're going to bring in just a little bit of orange also. So that burnt umber you see is really changing that color profile for us. And just a little bit of orange. And then looking at this, I'm actually gonna add one more color because we're not quite getting the right shade that we need. So I'm also going to add in some cadmium yellow. Just a little bit, we don't need a ton. And that will really brighten up this color that we're working with here. We don't want to lose too much of the warmth that we're getting from the orange, but we definitely, yeah, that's better. That is for sure better. And mixing colors sometimes, if you're still learning, it's like a process. You gotta figure out what it needs, and just over time you'll get the hang of how to put it all together. And like I've said before, I love mixing colors. I could just sit around all day and just mix colors just for fun. So pretty. It's kind of more fun to do it with some intention though. Like trying to paint a bird with a specific color. So I've added just a little bit more orange just to bring some of that warmth back. All right, so this is looking pretty good to me. Yeah, that's good. And then we want to take some of this over here, and we're going to add some more of our brown, our burnt umber. And this is just the places where we have more of the brown coming through. So it's all in the same, it's going to be in the same world of color. All right, we need a little bit more. And then I'm gonna add just the tiniest bit of black to it. Oh yeah, you see those colors next to each other, it really starts taking shape. Just a little bit more black. Okay, awesome. All right, so we're gonna start with that brown color, that darker color. And we're gonna fill in where the back of these, we've got kind of a couple of feathers we can see over here, and then the front is where we have the rest of these colors that we want to use that are gonna come in here. And then this same brown color is actually up in here as well, kind of mixed in. So I'm gonna start with like a filbert brush, and we're just gonna start getting those feathers in the back kind of blocked in first. So this is just kind of along the side of our pretty female. You can kind of see how that's going to be playing in there. And then the same color we're actually going to be using up in her face too, but we don't want it throughout the whole thing, just kind of up until where we hit her eye. So you want to take that same filbert brush and just drag it back and forth, just like this, until we get to her breast there. And then we'll have just some of these are gonna go up and out a little bit. So we'll do a couple kind of going up. And then we are gonna layer it, but we'll do just kind of going a few sporadically, kind of go in that direction. Okay, so then clear off whatever's left on your brush there, and we're gonna go into this really pretty color that we made here, and we're gonna start by taking this color kind of up underneath and doing this back and forth motion again, just using the edge of the brush, just to kind of give some texture where we have these feathers up top. Okay, and then we want to kind of highlight this going down like this, kind of making that swooping motion. And then we're just gonna go ahead and fill in where all of these feathers would be. Now, it's basically making like this circular shape. So you're just trying to kind of follow the shape of her. Now, for this filbert brush, the way I'm using it is I'm really using just the edge of it to make sure I can get those like nice rounded lines. And even though we're gonna be going over most of this with other brushes and other colors, it's good to have the shape kind of blocked in. So we're just gonna follow that same kind of shape and pattern all the way down. I spent some time yesterday going out and trying to take pictures of cardinals in the snow. I guess I'm just kind of feeling that vibe right now. And they stayed away from me, but I got some pictures of some other birds, you know, once I was acclimated to the space. Okay, so you can see I'm also coming in up top and pulling in some of these feathers that we have going on up in her face. And you can kind of start to layer some of these, just kind of going over top of them. When we get to the edge though, the feathers start doing this swoopy thing that goes like all the way around like this, right? So it starts and it goes all the way over the edge of those feathers. So you want to make sure that you're going all the way over, and then they're getting more rounded as they're coming down, right? So these feathers are like and it's like progressive, so you know. And then these are actually going all the way out. So we really can't see too much of these feathers that are kind of on her back. But we know it's back there. And then we need a little bit more of this up top. And you kind of just want to follow the shape, just going towards the outside here. And then she's got some darker spots up here, but they're not all dark, so we want to kind of layer that in there too. All right, that is not bad for like our middle part of the painting. I do want to get some of the red that she has in her tail and up here. It's like a light red, so we don't need a whole lot of red. And we're just gonna mix that with that same brown that we've been using. And then we're actually gonna grab just a little bit more of the burnt umber. There we go. That's more the right color. So this pretty red color we have here. Just a little bit more red in there. This is gonna go up at the top here. And then she's also got it in her tail down here. So we're just gonna go in that same direction. We wanna go down. So we want that to be that same red color. And then go ahead and get off any extra paint you might have on there. We wanna grab this light color we were working with before, and we're going to use this to add some dimension to our tail. So I'm coming in with like a straight line first, And then you want to go right in the middle of what you have and kind of round it out. So now we have these two tail pieces, and then we want to highlight this edge on the right up here. So just giving it a little bit more dimension. Go ahead and get everything off of your brush. We're gonna let that dry, and then we're actually gonna go in with like a bright white to like make it super pop. It's gonna look so cool. All right, so now we need a little bit of dimension with these colors. So we're gonna build them up either direction. And then for this color here, we also wanna get one that's just a little bit warmer. So this is a great color we've been working with, but we need it to be just a little bit more warm. So I'm gonna add a very little bit of orange to start, see how that color is looking. That's pretty good. We're gonna need just a pinch of yellow also. A bit more orange. More of our base color. A little bit more of that brown color in there. Awesome. So this we want to have just in the front part of the breast here. So same thing we've been doing as far as the shaping of the feathers is concerned. So make sure you get off any extra paint from your brush before we go in. Just get it right on the edge, and we just want to get this front piece here. So you can see it just has like kind of a warmer hue. And it's really just in this pocket, these colors, and then a little bit up by her eye. So I'm gonna actually go ahead and clean off my brush because it's losing its shape and I don't want to lose it too much. Really adding some warmth to the front of her feathers. All right, and then we're gonna actually build out the other direction. So we're gonna come in with just straight parchment and come kind of behind these other colors in here. So after this warm up here, it really transitions quickly into more of this this parchment color. So, and if it's, you don't want to go just like the orange color to the parchment, so you kind of want to like build it out a little bit. So right after we have the orangey color, we come back to that middle color we were working with before. And then, so you can see it's kind of like she has like the front of her chest has this really pretty color, and then, you know, we've got the less intense colors coming through, and you want it to not just be like this harsh, like here's one color, here's the next. You want like some of the feathers to be going up in there, right? Because it gives it so much more dimension. You see how that's making it look more alive? Okay, and then you want to take, so then as you're progressing, you hit the normal parchment, and we kind of work our way into just the parchment color. And this kind of starts building out around here. And this is also going to make the orange look more contrasted. So same thing that we were doing before, you want to make sure that it's not just going like chunk, chunk, chunk. You want it to kind of, some of the feathers to come up into the other color space. And then we're going to go with that parchment, and we're going to fill in these lines down here that we were working on earlier. So just like a really crisp, clean line in the middle of what you were working on before, which is going to give it that highlight. So you can see that's just making these pop. And then we want to go in, speaking of highlights, we want to take some of this brown that we had earlier, and we want to make it a bit darker, so we're going to add some more of the burnt umber, so that now we have a little bit of contrast and just a little tiny pinch of black. And we're going to use that back here and up here for some of our shadows. So first we're going to use it kind of cutting through some of that in the back, and then where we can see over here, we just want it to kind of cut through before we finish off the rest of these going in the back. And then we're going to take that same color, and we actually want to pull it up here to create some of our shadows. In the little feathers that we got going on her face. So you just want to use the edge of your brush, and these feathers actually become much tinier. So you just want to use like the very corner of it, and that'll give you a lot more room to create this texture. Drag it back and forth a little bit. And then using that same color, you can go in and get all of the shadows, go in all the different directions. So we also have like right here, we've got like this big chunk of something coming out, so we can put that in there. And then we're going to go in with that darker color we were using earlier, and we're just going to go ahead and give some of this a little bit of life with it, so this becomes some more shadow that we can kind of use. Isn't she pretty? Okay, and once you're fairly happy with what you're looking at here, we're gonna go in with a detail brush. So go ahead and you can rinse off that brush if you're done with it. I'm just gonna do a couple more of these guys. Okay, so go ahead and rinse off your detail brush. I'm sorry, your filbert. And we're going in with the detail brush. I love this thing, the liner. And we're gonna do some more specific feathers just to make it light and fluffy. And we're gonna use the same patterns that we've been using, and we're just gonna add in the details as we're going. So I'm gonna start with this light color, and I wanna build them in kind of starting at the top here. And just like, we don't need a ton, we just need a few. Almost like little highlights. Because your mind is going to plug in the rest of that info. And then we can take that to the side here. Again, we can take this into our the lighter parchment area, because it's basically gonna cut it. And I wanna put some of these up here too, so just drag that back and forth where we got our little section. She's so pretty. Pretty girl. And I also want to take some of these. She's got like a highlight here. I'm going to add that in. The front of her face, very nice. And then we'll just come and get some of these guys down here. And I'm actually going to go in with some white, just to add a little bit more detail when we get down into this section over here. So we're gonna start with the parchment first though, because I'd like to take some of the parchment up. So go in, same brush, and we're just gonna take it up into the darker area just to give it some more finer details. I feel like it also really helps you see kind of the bird better. Oh, I love that. Okay, she's so cute. All right. I love painting creatures. They're so cool. Okay. As soon as you're happy with that, we're gonna move on to the white, but while I have this on my pencil, I'm also gonna come down here and just kind of give it one more over. And we're actually gonna come in with white on those guys too here in a moment, but she is almost done. She's looking so good. She's ready for Mr. Male Cardinal showing up here. So go ahead and just get some white on your brush, and we are gonna come in and just do kind of right on the edge here. She's got some white feathers kind of coming through. Kind of like the end of that transition space. And so this gives us a chance to really highlight some of those areas. Let's get some more of that white in there. Go back into Parchment and even out that white color we got in there. Make sure it's not too overpowering, but it is giving us some highlights. And a little bit more texture. And then we're going to take that white again, and we're going to hit the outside of this one right here. And then we're coming in and going on the inside right there. And one more right there. Okay, nice. All right, so with this thinner, finer liner brush, I'm just gonna go ahead and use this to add in the final details on our little lady's face. So this is just kind of giving some texture. You can see I'm like just barely touching. I'm gonna leave her eye alone, but I do want that to go kind of all around it. And this is just giving a little bit more. I'm just hitting at that edge kind of where the black feathers would be crossing over. It's not too much, just a little bit. And then we are going to come in and I'm going to just give a little bit better shape to her beak. So go ahead and wash off your liner brush. And we are going to go ahead and get started with our male cardinal. For our male red cardinal, we want to start by taking some of our red And we want to mix in a bunch of the burnt umber, and I'm going to add just a little bit of water also to kind of thin it out. And we're just getting our base red that we're going to work with. So for our male cardinal, they're just so bright and pretty and beautiful, but we want to make sure that we have the right colors. So this is a really good kind of mid color that I think we're going to work with. So this is like, you know, just a super rich, deep color, and this is definitely one that we want to build in both directions. So I'm going to take some of this over here, and I'm going to add some more brown to it. And this will be kind of our darker red colors that we can work with. So you can see that difference. And that will be really good because you get like kind of a brown, they have like brown colors in them. And then they've got the bright red. So, okay, so that looks pretty good to get started. And then I am going to do one more set of this, and we just want a little bit of brown in this one so we can still get that super vibrant color. So now you can kind of see we've got these 4 colors right here we can kind of work with. And we won't touch this one too much. That's kind of going to be like our highlight at the top, sort of. Okay. Awesome, those colors look great. So we're gonna go back to our filbert brush as like our first main brush to get that second coat on here to kind of see where all of the colors are gonna lie. We're gonna start with the brighter red that we made, so not the brightest, but just the brighter red. And we're just gonna start filling in the shape and where all of the feathers are gonna live. Oh, what a cool guy he is. And this kind of goes up from here-ish, kind of out this way. And then we're actually gonna jump in with our dark color because I'm thinking that that might be better to build this way. All right, yeah, let's do that instead. We're gonna start with our dark color and we're gonna hit the tail first. So we just wanna fill in the feathers. And we just want the whole thing to be this color for now. And then coming down his back, it's kind of a gradient that kind of ends at this dark color. So this right here is kind of like the feather spot, and then here are the light feathers, sort of like what we did with her, right? She had her big feathers and then the light feathers on top. So that's kind of what's going on here. We've got like this kind of shorter feathers here. We've got our long guys. So there you can kind of see that shape starting to form. And then with the front of this, so I'm actually gonna go ahead and add just a little bit of this bright red again to get our main color kind of locked in here. So here are these bright feathers. These ones are kind of going out here. And then these guys start doing their little swoopy swoops. And we are just layering, layering, layering. And so it goes from that bright red to like the darker brown reds, like kind of quickly. But again, we're just blocking in shape right now and like generally where the colors are gonna be. And then as we get deeper down in here, it gets darker. And kind of cut this back up. And then this is like its own little guy back here. We've got some kind of the back side of our little dude. Here's kind of his back underneath those feathers. And then we actually get some white feathers that come through that really give some texture. Just coming along like right here, right at the end, kind of like our Miss Bird as well. So that'll kind of show us kind of the edge of where these feathers kind of come up, because he's got kind of this little, yep. So it's almost like you can see the shape here going on. Like we can see his body and then the wing he's got. So that's like pretty much all the colors are blocked in. And we want to make sure that we're not leaving any harsh lines. So if you kind of maybe went a little heavy-handed on some places with the paint, you can kind of smooth that out for now. And then, oh, that bright white does not look crisp in there. I love that. Okay. But we're building, so that's probably a lot of it's going to get covered, but I'm kind of liking how it's looking faded out like that. So I'm just kind of going to swoop through that a little bit more and then come back in with the darker brown red color, because it gets very dark very fast. And then I'm just going to build it up from there. So again, from that white section, we want like the dark brown here, and then it kind of transitions. So I haven't used a whole bunch of this middle color, but that's kind of the color that we have between the two. Kind of right here. And then we also have kind of this section up here. It also has this darker brown color going on. And our bright red is really only at this front spot. And then I'm also gonna pull this guy out a little bit more, because they have that iconic kind of mohawk looking thing, right? Where it's like, I love it. Okay, so cool. What a cool little guy we got. And that looks pretty good. We got this bright red here. Nice. All right, make sure there's no paint on your brush as you're getting into that bright color, because we just really want that to pop. And there we pretty much have our undercoat. I want to go ahead and fill in a little bit more of this detail on these back feathers, since we can see them a bit more. So we will go in with our liner brush though, and that's really going to make things stand out and pop a bunch. This middle color in here is kind of what we got going on. dark brown. So that looks pretty good for our second underpainting. Now we just want to go in with our liner brush and clean it all up and give it all that definition. So you can clean out your filbert brush. Filbert brush. Oh, I'm loving these cardinals. But yeah, we're gonna do the same thing we did with the female colors with all of these swoops and everything in here. So you can see it's laid out really neatly already. And we'll just follow that same pattern. So go ahead and get your liner. And we'll start with our middle kind of colors and work kind of this direction going darker. So again, you don't want too many in this front section because we want that brightness to really shine through still. But you need some because we want it to have that feathery look still, that soft feathery look we have over here. I already said this, I really like this liner brush. It's really nice. I highly recommend if you don't have one that you get one. It's just changed my paintings. It's so fun. Okay, and this is also great for, we can get some definition up here now also. I'm getting into my middle color because I didn't want a whole lot of that. I don't want a whole lot of the featheriness up here. We want that to be still pretty soft. So again, go into this middle and bringing it both directions. We're going up and we're going back. Basically just kind of connecting all of the places. And then once you got that, you can kind of start working on the darker color. Get those details in there. Going up over those white spots too is really gonna sell that nice feathery feeling. And then we can also go in this area here with our bright red, because the way that this guy works is he actually has that core red in throughout him, completely throughout all of his area. So if he's getting too dark or you feel like you're losing too much texture, we definitely want to come back in with the highlight. So if you go a little too heavy-handed, you can always go back in and add more of those colors. Like right now there's a lot of white in this section and I don't hate it. There's actually, that's pretty normal for like the birth. But I don't know, I kind of want like a middle color. I'm actually thinking I'm gonna take a little bit of this red over here, and then to get some more popping red color, I'm gonna actually mix in, actually not white, a little bit of orange. Because if you mix in just white, you get pink. But this orange should brighten it up. Without it looking pink. So you can see the difference here between these two. Yeah, that's looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna keep using my liner brush and I'm just gonna go in and add a little bit of detail with this. Let's see how it looks. Just to cut some of that darkness, but to also make sure it's showing up. Sometimes this specific red I'm working with, it seems to have a lot of, it's like very transparent. And acrylic paint is like generally transparent, but it just seems like particularly like I can see through it. And which is making it a little more challenging to work with. So whatever paint you have, you know, like wherever you are in your journey, it's all good. You can always find a way to work with it. But I'm liking kind of adding in this other bit of bright. It's giving it some more texture. Okay, that looks good to me. I like that a lot. And I'm gonna come to the front of this guy again. Clean up that edge. Yeah. For our handsome cardinal guy. I'm gonna take some up top here too, because we kind of lost a little bit. There we go. Okay. Just gonna add some more of this in here. And there's actually a little bit of little white guys kind of speckled throughout here. So I'm just gonna take this, do super tiny little white lines. And then I'm going to use this white to also give a little highlight back here on his tail. And then I'm going to come in with some black. And I'm going to do some other shadows. So we've got right here underneath his tail. And then I also want to use this to give his feathers a little more definition. So we've kind of got this guy coming up like this. And then we're gonna go over top of that with our dark red color. you're still getting that really crisp line. Dark again, got kind of a dark little spot down here. And then we'll go back to our mid color and add a little bit more texture, and then our bright red. With our first color red that we made, and just kind of come over our white lines up here. And then again, this bright line up here, that's our highlight. That's the great thing about acrylics and layering. So now we have all of these really, really, really pretty layers. Oh, they look so good together. Okay, and then as you can see, I just added in a little white dot for both of their eyes, and I like the light gray kind of color because it makes the black pop. So I'm just gonna go ahead and we're gonna use that same liner brush. We're gonna do the black that kind of goes into melts into the rest of his feathers. So just like we did with her, we're just gonna do slight little tiny lines. Let's get the edge looking better though. Where we've got our little baby feathers coming off here. And then his black coming up here. Give us that nice edge. And I'm just kind of going around the whole thing, kind of letting the brush do the work here. Okay, and all we have left to do are their beaks. So go ahead and rinse off your liner brush again. And so for the beaks, we do want to use that orange color. So we want it orange, but it's also kind of like a red orange. So we're going to start with our orange, add a little bit of red, really rich color. Oh, what a pretty orange. It's like fire orange. Pretty. Oh, I like that a lot. Okay. So we're gonna take that color and we're just gonna color both of the beaks to start with that. So I'm gonna use the filbert brush just because I've been getting a lot of success with it today. I really like this brush. You can tell I have like the ones that are new. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of go over the color we already have there. Go over this guy too. Cute. What a bunch of cuties. Okay, rinse that off. And then I'm gonna go right back in with the liner brush. And we're gonna start with just the burnt umber color. And that is gonna be the shadow. So I'm just drawing where the beaks meet. And I really want it to look like my birds are smiling. So I'm gonna do that, and I'm actually gonna go in with the black to make it more prominent. Cute, what a cutie! All the little love birds. Okay, and then I'm gonna go in with that same dark orange color. So to do the beak, basically you want to start with your two separate pieces of your beak, and you want to just block it in with the main color. So here I have like a brown, or I'm sorry, an orange red color. I think it's so pretty. And so this was the base. So I first filled in all of that, all of the beaks, and then I went in and I added a little bit of white where the highlights would be. So I put a little bit of white up here and kind of on the side and then right there. And then I did the same thing for the female. I put a little bit of white on this side and kind of where it would hit. And then you just go in with more of this dark orange you created and blend it out so it creates that nice highlight. Then what you do is you want to come in with just your primary red, and you want to block in where the shadows would be. So here is about where that shadow is, and a shadow underneath, and then the same thing on the female. And you do the same thing. You go back in with your orange and you just block both of them in. And that is how you do your little beakies. I hope you have enjoyed today's tutorial. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you're up to date on all new painting tutorials that I put out pretty often. So I hope you guys liked it, and make sure you give this a thumbs up and let me know how yours turned out. I can't wait to hear all about it. You guys have such a good day. I'll catch you on the next one.